Hello there, my name's Donovan. I've been in this country for 4 months. Here's a map of where we've been, and here are my biggest surprises. Even going back to the first night spent here, I was kind of blown away by the visibility of the night sky, and that's mainly because we were staying in Auckland. Now, we were in Mount Roskill, which was like a 20-minute drive outside of the CBD, but you can still see quite a bit. But as soon as we got out of the city, oh boy, camping in the Bay of Islands was like our first big glimpse of the night sky and a huge wow moment for me. Our road trip to the northern tip of the North Island, even down here like 25 minutes outside of Christchurch, there's so much visibility. Now these are photographs with a long exposure, and the time lapses are individual photos that are all edited together. So I'm not really showing off something you can see with the naked eye, but you can still see a lot. You can legitimately see the Milky Way galaxy glow, and on some nights, like our first night on the South Island driving from Picton to Kaikoura, the core of the Milky Way. I am by no means an expert photographer, especially when it comes to shooting the night sky. I've played around a little bit back home in northern Alberta, shooting the night sky in the Canadian Rockies. Been fortunate enough to see the Aurora Borealis so many times in my life. But man, I gotta say, I've been able to get a lot of practice here. And in a couple days from now, when we go even further south, I am really hoping to get a glimpse of the Aurora Australis, like fingers crossed for me. It was visible in Dunedin a couple nights ago, so hopefully we can make a video about Aurora hunting on the South Island. This is a weird one. A man in his 30s should not be looking over at public playgrounds and getting a little jealous and going, wow, oh my god, they're all like really nice. But so many of them are top notch. If I was a kid here, I would be so stoked. I think it's best if I just use stock footage for the visuals. Don't really want to be caught with my camera hanging around a public playground. I don't know why this is on the list. But the design and the build of these public parks have just been like intriguing to look at, number one. There's a really cool architectural element to a lot of them that we've seen. And I've seen them in like really nice residential areas around larger cities, but I've also seen them in like random small towns where when you're first driving through, you're like, okay, you know, this isn't the nicest place in the world, but it's like, look at that. They got a beautiful public park. Really? It's weird, but it's a surprise to me, and that's why it's on this list. This is something that you hear about and you read about before coming here, but I find it more and more interesting the more time that we spend here, especially because we do a lot of driving at night. Back home, driving at night is a little different because you are kind of constantly aware of all of the deer and elk that are in the area. You pray to God that you don't stumble upon a moose. There's bears, there's foxes, there's wolves, there's all sorts of animals on the side of the road that you just kind of gotta keep your eyes peeled for. Naturally, it causes you to maybe slow down a little bit, so that element of driving has just kind of been ingrained in me a little bit. So when I'm driving here at night, I have that mental awareness, I have that kind of like extra caution, maybe feel the need to go a little bit slower, but I recently let all of that go. And it's weird, but it's been really great. I don't have a Ford Ranger on my ass driving at night all the time, which is great. I'm actually passing people. As soon as I let all of that go, I actually did stumble upon like an elk farm on the side of the highway, and it's like, oh god, here they are. What if one gets out? But that's not to say that there aren't land mammals or predators here. There's a few little pests, most notably the possum, I would say. I've seen a lot of those. Well, I haven't seen a lot of alive ones, but their carcasses are constantly showcased on the side of the highway, and the hawks are there to point them out to you in case you don't see them. Now, we've all heard how expensive New Zealand can be, and I can say, yep, it is. But how inexpensive certain things are compared to other things that are way more expensive than I think they should be is kind of been what surprised me so far. Let's make a list. Gasoline, obviously expensive. It has to be imported here. Makes sense. Salad dressing. I can't fathom how cheap it is. Off to a weird start. Inexpensive. Rugby tickets or football tickets, both in Auckland and Christchurch that we've been to so far. I can't believe how inexpensive they are. We were at a Crusaders playoff game, and general admission tickets were $16. If you wanted to sit in the middle and get a better seat, it was like $25 to $50. That's crazy to me. Public transit can be really cheap too, like a ferry from downtown Auckland to Devonport or Hobsonville or something like that. I feel like it was under $2. There might have been a deal going on at that time, but even if it's double that, like $4 to $5, that's, I don't know, that's just really cheap to me. Meat pies? You can get like a pretty cheap meat pie at a gas station. Go into a bakery and you can still get a pretty solid like mince and cheese pie for like $4.50. Get a steak and cheese for like $5 or $5.50. And those things fill you up. Some of the hotels, just ridiculously out there in terms of pricing for really what you get. A lot of the hotel rooms that we've stayed in haven't even really been that nice. But then there's motels that are usually more affordable and economical, and they've been way nicer than expected. Apples, $4 for like a big bag of apples, and they're the most delicious apples I think I've ever had in my life. Chicken's like half the price of what we're used to paying for in Canada, and it's really good. Camper vans, probably one of the best ways to experience this country. It'd be weird if you only went for like a weekend, but I guess I could understand why some people do that. But if you're looking at like a week at least, you're in the $1,000 range. Taking a bus across Waiheke Island, $2-3. Taking a cab across Waiheke Island, it's like $42. Yeah, New Zealand is expensive in general, but certain things are actually really inexpensive. Just gotta look out for the deals. About a month before our flight to get here, Auckland was flooding. And it was like, oh man, geez, look at that. Like, it's pretty serious. The airport's underwater, and look at how many homes have been damaged, and like, that sucks. Then Cyclone Gabrielle hit, and it was like, oh shit, wow. Man, I hope everyone's okay. You know, we got here, made some travel plans to go up to the north tip of the North Island. Couldn't go because of forest fires. It's like, okay, all right, that's fine. We'll go another time, like, get it under control. Second month, we're staying in Red Beach. Turn on the news. Auckland's been hit with a tornado, and as well as the Nelson area, and it's like, I'm sorry, you guys have tornadoes here too? Okay. Saw some of the geothermal activity going on at the Wairake terraces and like just the whole Rotorua area in general, and read up about Lake Taupo. Oh yeah, beneath it is like one of the world's top 5 or 6 supervolcanoes, and it's potentially active. Oh, okay. Start exploring Christchurch and learn way more about the 2011 earthquake that hit in this area. Mind-blowing. A week later, we're reading avalanche warning signs in Arthur's Pass, all while the North Island's getting this tsunami warning. I was getting a case of beer in a town like 20 minutes away from here, and this siren just starts going off like a nuclear bomb is about to hit. It's like, oh god, it's happening. This is something that could have been easily researched, and I was well aware of a lot. But being here and seeing some of the damage firsthand has been really eye-opening. I really do feel for the people here, which brings me to the next one. I have to say the Kiwis are a pretty resilient bunch. It's cool that despite all of these natural disasters, most people have been very down to earth, friendly, and welcoming. I will say that I think I need to meet more locals. So many people I talk to are from the UK, but the locals that I have met have been nothing but friendly. They've had awesome recommendations, of course, and even so many of you viewers watching. You guys have given us so many great recommendations. I can't thank you enough. Please keep them coming. Which also kind of goes into number 7. A surprise for me has been the amount of people from New Zealand that actually watch these videos. I was thinking that a lot of people who are looking to come to New Zealand would watch these videos, but my Google Analytics say otherwise. It's been good, surprising. Comments are 95% really positive. I am working on my pronunciation of the Maori language. I do think that's important, and I hope you guys are enjoying these. If you are, you can give me a like on the video. That helps. Thank you. Do I need to say anything more? Like, I had no idea coming to this country I would be having some of the best chocolate I've ever had in my life. Whitaker's especially. This Hokey Pokey one is amazing, but I think Butter Biscuit or Biscuit Block or whatever, it was like a Hershey's cookies and cream. I think it was only available for a limited time because I can't see it in the stores anymore, and I'm really upset about that, but there are so many other flavors that are just truly amazing. If you guys have a favorite flavor, please comment in the section down below. I've only tried 4 or 5, but I am willing to expand my horizons when it comes to Whitaker's chocolate. I'm sure there's a lot of different examples that could be used here, but I'm going to talk about a road trip that we did recently from our Airbnb here in Burnham to the West Coast. It was a little frosty mid-June morning, started driving across the Canterbury Plains, surrounded by agricultural farmlands as the sun came up. Made our way to the Southern Alps, just looking up at these majestic snow-capped mountains. Even more going through Arthur's Pass, but also with like incredible forests and a lot of waterfalls. Now, as we got a little closer to the west coast, the snow starts to disappear from the mountaintops, and it's like we're in a rainforest with crystal clear blue water running through these rivers, making their way to the Tasman Sea. Check out Greymouth briefly, and then make our way up the stunning west coast highway to Paparoa National Park and see the Pancake Rocks. Obviously a fair amount of driving, that was over 3 hours each way. But to see all of that in one day, and like frosty cold morning over here seemed like 10 degrees warmer, more humid and sunny, and it's hard to describe. I don't know, I'm not the best at describing things, but that's just, it kind of blew me away, really, to experience that all in one day. It would have been really cool to see the sunrise on the East Coast over the Pacific Ocean, then drive across and see the sunset on the Tasman. To do something like that in Canada would just be a little further than it would be to do it here. So feel like that would be cool to say that you did that in one day. Almost all of the best things that we've seen have been free or by donation. Just gotta get a little list going here. The giant sand dunes, Cape Reinga, Mount Eden in Auckland, the Hamilton Gardens. The amount of beaches and hiking trails just walking around Napier. Mount Manganui in Tauranga. Hookah Falls, Kaikoura Seal Colony. Mount Sunday, Arthur's Pass, Pancake Rocks, the list goes on. When I was thinking about this, all these attractions, and trying to compare it to Canada or even parts of the United States that I've been to, I guess the only thing that really stood out to me was a Parks Pass. There's so many amazing and natural wonders to see, but you do need a Parks Pass to visit a lot of them. Obviously, there are places to see that are amazing outside of national parks where you don't have to spend any money, but I am kind of used to that $20 to $30 per day. Back home in Canada, we'll typically purchase a annual Parks Pass. I forget what it is, like $80 to $100. But for me, I guess there's usually a cost associated with going into a national park and being able to just go and explore and see however many natural wonders or cool hikes or waterfalls that you want to see. New Zealand does have some sort of Department of Conservation pass. I think that is more for camping spots and freedom camping because it says online that all New Zealand national parks are free to enter, which is really awesome. But either way, a lot of the places have donation areas, so you can still provide a little financial support if you'd like. But that's my list. If you got to this point, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you want to see some more New Zealand content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.